This video is walking you guys through your second essay, which is a research paper. So you guys have already created an argument in your first essay. So your task now is to expand on that argument with additional research. So you're going to keep the same topic and stance as your first essay. That's an absolute requirement. For the purposes of the essay, you're going to have 3 sources at least. One of them has to be an in-person interview. So that means someone that you interview about the topic. So whoever you choose to interview, it needs to be someone who is credible, someone who has some type of subject matter expertise relative to this concept, idea, this field. It could be a professor, it could be a lawyer, a doctor, a police person, an administrator, a business owner. There's a lot of different people you could talk to. What I don't want to see is that you just ask a friend their opinion on the topic. It needs to be somebody with some credibility when it comes to this topic and this stance. So the rest of your sources can be internet research. It needs to come also from credible materials, so make sure that you're choosing credible websites, things that will help add to or support your argument. Your essay needs to be 5 to 6 pages in length and is due on Sunday, April 3rd by 11:59 p.m. What you can do for the purposes of this essay is use your first essay as a base, but what I don't want to see is that you simply copy and paste the first essay and then add 2 pages of quotes. You need to substantially revise the first essay. So you're going through and you're adding these different quotes from your sources as pieces of evidence to help support each of your arguments or your main ideas. So you should have this research interspersed throughout your essay. So it shouldn't just all be clumped together at the end. You want to choose source material that will help support your ideas. You could also use source material that shows the other point of view. So for example, in your opposing viewpoints or your counter arguments, you could use a source that brings up what that opposing viewpoint is, but then you still need to refute it or disprove it for the purposes of your essay. So MLA formatting is required. Everything's checked for plagiarism and make sure you meet the minimum page length requirements. Again, keep the same topic and stance as essay 1. Have all of the usual parts of an essay, a claim with a thesis and the introduction, 3 main ideas with evidence. In this case, again, your evidence is going to come from your source material, your research, and it should be in the form of quotes. Quotes are typically stronger forms of evidence than paraphrasing. So make sure you're using quotes, you're citing your source material, and you're using in-text citations, and that you also have a bibliography, which includes that source material on it. And then, of course, the same usual 2 to 3 opposing viewpoints with refutations, an appropriate number of sources. So again, making sure that you absolutely have that required interview and your other source material as well. When I say interview, that does not have to, or in-person interview, that does not mean you have to physically be in the same room as that person. You could do it by phone, you could do it by email, or you could do it by Zoom. All of that is fine. Make sure you also have a conclusion that wraps up your argument. So you should restate your thesis and your main ideas in new words in your conclusion. So like your first essay, you're going to have 2 parts to the essay grade. So you're going to do an assignment for this unit, which is called an annotated bibliography. Don't worry too much about this right now, but basically an annotated bibliography is just a way of compiling the research that you're already going to have to do for the second essay. It's just compiling it in a certain format. So doing that annotated bibliography means that you guys are going to have, if you do that correctly, you'll get 20 points on your final essay grade, and the other 80% will come from the essay itself. You'll need to submit a clean final draft as a Word doc with a regular bibliography, a normal bibliography for that as well. So all of this is going to be covered later. But I've given you an example of what an annotated bibliography might look like. I've given you an optional self-edit guide here if you need it. And then I've given you some helpful interview note card information. So if you aren't quite sure what to ask for an interview or how to do one of these, there's a couple of ways you could do it. This is a note card method and then a written or oral interview as well. So those are just helpful documents that you may like. If you have any questions about this, let me know. But otherwise, it should be pretty straightforward. And again, the goal is to expand on your original argument with additional research and expertise from your sources.